And thank you for support what you already mentioned, that is the plans which was supported by UK, and in fact it was drafted with the support of United Kingdom, and I would say that is more than the plans. That is the vision of Ukraine energy system in the future, and that is what we are fighting now for. Our soldiers are fighting to allow us to create this system in the future. If you allow it, I will start with the President Zelensky, who said that Ukraine could substitute Russia. And we are sure about this. We already did it. And we will do this in the future in the spheres which are still some discussions around nuclear. And of course, we become an energy hub for Europe. And that is our place. That is our place which probably give us the real goals for transformation and the values which we are fighting now for. So I would share the key challenges of our situation in the energy. Of course, that is Russian aggression, and Russian aggression, as Grant, you mentioned, so it started the night when we disconnected from Russian grids. But they start shelling the energy infrastructure every day massively, from the 10th of October until the 9th of March. Every day shellings by missiles, drones, artillery, and mix of any weapons they have. Destruction of Kakhovka, of course, everyone knows the Kakhovka and knows the situation, and that is not only about the hydro, that's not only, because it's also have an influence on our balance in the system, but that is about the security, that is about the security on Zaporizhia and PP, which is occupied. I mentioned the Zaporizhia, and that is another story which happened from the 3rd to 4th of March at night. And day before, in the 3rd of March, the Board of Governors of EIA adopted a resolution that Russians should leave Chernobyl and PP. So that's the answer. That's the answer of Russians. So they capture Zaporizhia and PP in 12 hours. So of course, due to this attack, this question of special energy equipment, which is really, especially when we are talking about, you see the big pictures in the movies, we are talking about after transporters, especially the big one, 750, 330. Of course, it's a long-term production, and that's really a challenge for us. And of course, the sanctions and the way how we know they managed to escape sanctions. We communicate with our friends, with our colleagues, with the minister. We find how they do it. They're very important to stop this possibility to escape sanctions. There is no way, I mean, no need in sanctions which you could escape. And of course, Rosatom, that's my pain, because it's nuclear. Everything they did with nuclear, everything they did in nuclear, they destroy everything the civilized world achieved in the sphere of nuclear safety and security. So we need to punish them on this. That is the, you can see the Ukraine before the war, and that is the consumption, which is 184 terawatts, and that's what's electricity demand before the war, and installed capacity, and that's what we have in 2022. So you could see that there's a regions which is red, which is occupied, so we really, it's influenced a lot of, so it's dropped dramatically, but it's also a lot of capacities, especially renewables, now on occupied territories. So how we see our vision of our strategy. So of course the restoration, that's what we need now. That is more the short-term goals. So we need to do this before the next winter, and we need to be prepared for the next war. So I call it war because that is the energy front, which is our responsibility. And we have this fight on our energy front. And in fact, we win the previous war, and we would win the next one. Integration with the EU energy market, and that's of course because Ukraine is a part of European energy family. So, and we need to integrate markets fully, and that is one of the goals of the strategy. Of course, security, that is something new. I would say that the risks of military attacks was not estimated before. So now we're supposed to rebuild our energy system taking into account the military threats, which is our life forever. Protection of vulnerable consumers. Of course, that is a very important issue, and that is very important from the point of view of our citizens, of who really should feel comfortable with the new transformation in the energy. And energy efficiency by design, that is a very important issue. So, of course, we could save on Russian or any kind of resources if we really reach the energy efficiency. What is Ukraine Energy Hub? So that is the goal. That's our road to this result. Of course, that is the production of carbon neutral electricity. And that's what we could do. We already had rather good mix of electricity, but we want to achieve the goals, phase out coal, and produce carbon neutral electricity 100%. Hydrogen hub. That is really what we see the great perspective for our country, to produce hydrogen, and not only for local consumption, but also to export this hydrogen to European Union. Gas storages. We have the biggest gas storages in Europe, more than 30 BCM of gas, and we could offer these storages to European countries to store gas in Ukraine. And that is also very important because last year, everyone see what happened with the storages, which has not belonged to the country, which has belonged to Gazprom. There is no need to put your gas in the storage, which, for instance, in Austria or Germany, if it's owned by Gazprom. So how you then answer the issue of national security? That is something more than just the storages. And, of course, energy equipment manufacture. So in all our transformation, we understand that we need a big number of factories, a big number of jobs to be created to allow this transformation happen. Why we take, I had a lot of questions. So, guys, how you could think about the strategy until 2050? So you should first win the war, and that's what I already mentioned. So we need to show the future of Ukraine, which we are fighting now for. And of course, we are confident in our victory in the occupation of the territory. The most important thing, substitution of Russian fossil fuels. Substitution forever. I'm really afraid of some thoughts of some, let's say, colleagues in Europe that the war would be over and we would come back to Russia again, so we would renegotiate some kind of agreements. That would be a huge mistake. So we should get rid of Russian from energy markets, civilized forever. Development of the economy, creating jobs, and of course, let's return people to Ukraine. That is really what we want. So we need to create the jobs to allow our people to come to our country. We look for several scenarios, but we have then the points. When the war is end, of course, which influence and the state of economy, the phase of GDP growth, demographic situation, EU integration, development of hydrogen production, and the occupation of the territories. That is things which influence these scenarios. How we see, that you could see the demand, that's in terawatts, the demand in 2022, which is 109. So, and we have the ambition. I mean, Ukraine now it's about ambitions. And so we see that we could reach 291, but our ambitions show us plus 133 for local consumption, and 276, that is what we could do for export. And that is part of really our strategy, because that gives us a lot of possibilities really to become the real hub, energy hub in Europe. What we can produce or propose to Europe. Of course, we understand the European landscape, and that is green electricity export, hydrogen, energy-intensive products. Lately, Rostislav would add on the details of this, but that is what we want to achieve. But that is about the figures. But what is very important, that is about the reforms. And I must say that that's not less important than the figures in our plans. The reforms, we want business to come to Ukraine, and we need to create conditions for this. And I just show you that's what already done. There is a lot of issue, but you could see the gap between the February 22 and February 23. So it looks like we lost 1 year, but that's not true, because that year was the year of survival of the energy system. We were disconnected from Russia grids on 23rd at night. So in 21 days, we become a part of European energy system. Then there was a discussion. Do we manage to maintain the market, the market in Ukraine? Because the situation was very difficult, drop of consumption, its influence. It was a huge financial gap in the market. And we discussed what should we do with the market. But we managed to maintain the market, even during the war, even during the attacks. Then we start export electricity to Europe. And we stop export only on the 10th of October, the next day after first massive attacks happened. And then we're doing this. So that's already done. So we have the draft, some draft laws, but they already go through fast hearings. Recently, we adopted the remit regulation. And you know, the interesting thing, that all these things, especially, I would mention there's some difficult decisions. So we increase the tariff for households. So now we're ready to liberalize the electricity market, to change price caps. And all these decisions was taken under everyday shellings. So we were sitting in the bomb shelter with some of you colleagues who visit Ukraine, and we're drafting decisions for Ukrainian future of the energy sector. So they attack us, at the same time we draft decision, we change and reform Ukrainian market. And I think that is the strongest answer to Russian aggression and to Russian war, especially in the energy, that the terror attacks against the energy sector. But our answer to Russian was restart of the export after winter, restart of the export to European Union. And that is really, it means that they failed. They failed the previous winter, they would fail the next winter, and they will fail forever. Thank you.